happy with the rehydration clause. Chris isn't committed to that rehydration clause again, as of yet.
Okay.
And the initial time it was put in front of us, it was an ultimatum. It was the fight's not happening unless this. So Chris is in a difficult position then. Everything's been agreed. Everything. You're talking, we've gone through the contract, we've done every single clause. We get to the last moment. I think it was, if I remember, maybe just before the press conference or something, and then it was landed on us, an ultimatum like that. In the end, Chris is a money man and he accepted the challenge. Is it healthy? Is it right? Is it absolutely, should it be banned from boxing? Absolutely. Did Terence Crawford need a rehydration clause against Canelo? No, he didn't. And so I don't think it should not be used.
Okay, so that was an interview with Ben Shalom with TalkSport that he gave yesterday with regards Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn 2. Listen, it's very seldom you will ever see me agree with Ben Shalom. But I agree wholeheartedly with what he's saying about the rehydration clause, to be honest with you. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. He said that at this present moment, Chris Eubank Jr. will, as it stands, not be adhering to the rehydration clause, which I personally am all for. I don't think he needs to. I think that going into the first fight, there was the 160-pound weight, which is obviously middleweight. Okay, no, you're doing it middleweight. Fair enough, it's a non-title fight, but you're doing it middleweight. His last couple of fights been at middleweight. Conor Benn's moving up. All right, middleweight, 100%. Okay, make the 160-pound, all that stuff. Okay, right, fair enough. You're chucking a rehydration clause on top of that? I missed the part where this was for a world title. Oh yeah, it wasn't. So why in God's name is there a rehydration clause? And in actual fact, you probably could get away with doing a catchweight given the fact that there's no real title of note on the line, if there was any title. So, whilst I can understand the 160-pound limit, the rehydration clause just made no sense. And Ben basically said that it was an ultimatum. Chris Eubank Jr. is a money man. And if you may remember the first date, we'll say, not the first fight, it was October 22, and I think it was like 158 he needed to weigh, plus it was even worse. It was crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, as I said, Chris Eubank Jr. obviously agreed to that, and I get it, he was obliged to, but with Ben Shalom saying that he's, obviously it's in the contract, rehydration, 10 pounds again, which is even less than the IBF's check weight, which is actually 12 pounds. So again, there's a sanctioning body that has a rehydration clause in the contract. You're not fighting for their belt, and the rehydration is less than that. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So with Eubank Jr. apparently not being committed to hitting that, I really can't argue with that or have any gripe with that, to be honest with you, especially considering the fact that the first proposed date, was it Chris Eubank Jr. who caused that fight to break down and fall apart, that proposed date in 22? No, it wasn't. It's Conor Benn. Now, Eubank had to make concessions going into this rematch, which again, or going to the first fight, I should say, which again, I didn't think was right. But he did them, and that was that. Now he's got to make those same concessions again, even though he was the guy who won, and he was the deserved winner. There was no issues with the decision or anything like that. He was the rightful winner of this fight. So for me, and again, no title on the line, anything like that, I think that he's well within his right to turn around and say, not going to happen. I'm not making, you can put that 10-pound rehydration clause in there if you want. I ain't taking it. And to be honest with you, making 160 pounds for Chris Eubank Jr. may very well be difficult, but probably is doable. Packing a because you have to remember, it's not just making middleweight. It's the fact that you can't fully rehydrate. And most of those guys, people were commenting on Terence Crawford, I'll get to him in a sec, looking good at the weigh-in for Canelo. And that was the weigh-in when they, televised it or showed it on DAZN or whatever it was, their Netflix. And I was like, well, yeah, he would be, because it was a ceremonial weigh-in. So he's been rehydrating. I think that was 10 hours after we got the weight. So he's going to look a lot better. They're not going to look drained if it's a ceremonial weigh-in. They've already started the rehydration process, right? So they have loads of time to get it in. They probably have already rehydrated 10 pounds by that time, maybe. Eubank Jr. hasn't had a chance to do it. He has to go to bed. He has to go through the day. He's not fully able to get all those electrolytes, everything into him. And you're trying to slap that on him again when he won the fight. Nah, I agree wholeheartedly with Ben Shalom. I like the fact that he brought up Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford was not the biggest 155 or 154 pounder in the world, right? He wasn't, right? He's really a welterweight. That's his best weight. That's his natural, real, proper weight for Terence Crawford. Welterweight, 147 pounds. He wins a world title at 154. Fair enough. No catch weights, anything like that there either. and then moves up 2 weight divisions. And this isn't like going from, I love Naoya Inoue, I love him, he's brilliant, but it's not like going from 108 pounds to 115 pounds, which he did. He bypassed flyweight. You're going up, how much? You're going up, what, 7 pounds? Roughly thereabouts. It's not like going from, Superfly, which is 115, going straight to Super Bantam, which is 122. Again, you're only going up, what, 7 or so pounds. You're going up well over a stone to fight a much, much naturally bigger guy, maybe not taller, but in terms of physical size. And you're just saying, okay, let's do it. You're not looking to redrain him. You're not looking for anything because you want this win to be as legit as can be. Now, that to me tells me 2 things about Terence Crawford. 1, he's got some big cojones. And 2, he is a man true and true. Because he's going up there saying, I believe in my ability. I don't want this win to be tainted by, oh, he drained and he this, that, and the other. I believe in myself. I'm going to do it. Whatever you want, fair enough. I'm just going to beat you anyway. And you had people like Conor Benn saying, oh, he really should have put it. No, he shouldn't have. Why? Because Terence Crawford has actually, got a pair of cojones on him. So I agree wholeheartedly with Ben Shalom, absolutely. I think they need to be scrapped altogether. I understand the weight cutting is an issue. And you see fighters and you hear stories of fighters in UFC, in boxing. I remember, I don't think there's ever been any noted tragedy in boxing from a weight cut, but maybe some would argue maybe the weight cut, if you had a fighter who was tragically injured or God forbid lost his life in the ring, maybe the weight cut played a factor, who knows. But you have heard stories in UFC of fighters passing out and tragically passing during a weight cut. I do distinctly remember a fighter called Danny O'Connor, his name was. He was I think he's a 140 pounder. I think he had a world title fight. And he had a really bad weight cut. He was rushed to hospital a couple of years ago. I think it was 2018, 2019, thereabouts. But that's an example I can remember. And I'm sure there's others as well. Didn't Yalabek and Kanudi, obviously Virgil Ortiz, another example of fighters who've had very bad weight cuts and had to postpone fights and stuff like that. So I'm not for fighters doing that. And chuck a rehydration clause on that is just not right. Boots Ennis, it's like looked awful. 2 fights at welterweight when he was IBF champion. Get rid of that rehydration clause. He looks brilliant against Stanionis. Again, he's nothing to write home about, but still, you see what I mean. He just looks so much more alive in the ring. Everything, not having to, be restricted by how much you can rehydrate. So, for me, I think they need to go. I don't like them. People. This is the thing. Like you've pundits and fighters who talk about, boxing, health and safety, this, that, and the other. But you're perfectly happy with a rehydration. It doesn't make sense. That is dangerous, having a rehydration clause in place. For it just doesn't make sense. So I don't know how you could be in favour of a rehydration clause, in particular for a non-title fight, and then be talking about, the integrity of the sport. And as far as I'm concerned, I look at Tank Davis, right, who he drained Ryan Garcia, and I'm pretty sure there was a rehydration clause in place for that fight. I'm pretty sure there was. Well, how can you brag about that win then? Because you're not fighting Ryan Garcia, the Ryan Garcia. You are literally just. It's like you're both playing a game. You're both playing a game on the PS5, right? It's an online multiplayer, whatever it is, and you have the cheat codes, and he doesn't, right? And okay, you win, you get a better score. You're playing 1v1 in COD. Oh, you've got some cheat codes going. Or you modded the sniper so you can't miss, and he hasn't. Well, who's going to win? Obviously, more often than not, the guy who has all those in his favour is going to win. But you don't look at that and say, oh, I'm a better player, or I'm a better this, because it's like, well, you literally had a massive advantage. It's just for me, it's like, you want credit, I'll give you credit. I'll give Terence Crawford way more credit than I'll give Conor Benn. Because if Conor Benn beats Chris Eubank Jr., there is a rehydration clause and he has to adhere to it. I will give Conor Benn credit for avenging the loss, yes, but I'll be saying it's not as impressive as Terence Crawford going up to fight Canelo, where he didn't drain him. He was the significantly smaller guy, but he just was the better fighter and just the better all round. So Crawford deserves way more credit. Simple as. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, if you could, people, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll leave it there. It's kind of awkward outro, isn't it? It's kind of like him and Han, but no, I appreciate the support. It's been incredible over the last. It's always been incredible on here. You know what I mean? But especially since the name change happened and all that, thank you everyone who's commented, liked. It's weird. It's still weird logging on to my YouTube studio and not seeing G-Man on there. It's weird. But I like it. I'm happy with it. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, people. Peace.